We'll go ahead and do a highlight video here on our ATS Radio broadcast. I'm Adam Burke. He's Kyle Hunter, professional handicapper over at huntersportspicks.com. We'll talk about game 349-350 here between Iowa State and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, 3.5-point favorite, total of 52 here in this one. And I think you and I may be on the same page with regards to this game.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. I think I've told you this before, and some listeners to the show would know this already. But before the season, I look at the schedule and I try to go through and have some games that I want to play something in before the season, and then I can look at that when we get to the time. I had this as a game that I would want to bet the under in. Now, the line is far lower than I would have ever thought the under would be here, and that's because Oklahoma State has been so good defensively in the games that they've played. But I think we have to be fair that Oklahoma State has not exactly played teams that, would test their defense that much. I will say, I think Oklahoma State is much better defensively than they've been in past seasons, especially on the front seven. I think their secondary can be beaten. I have to start out here by talking about the fact that Matt Campbell as an underdog has been really good. As an underdog in general, 33-16 ATS. As an underdog of 3 points or larger, 27-12 ATS. There are a lot of trends and angles like that probably don't matter at all. I think this one does. Matt Campbell's good as an underdog. These are two coaches that I'd like to bet on, though. I don't want to really bet against Gundy that much. He's been tremendous ATS. Having said that, reportedly Spencer Sanders is healthy. He said that Illingworth and Sanders might split time here. I would think that if Spencer Sanders is 100% healthy, he would play most of the game here because he's clearly their best option at quarterback. When you're looking at this game, something else I wanted to point out, looking through my notes, was Iowa State uses 29 seconds between plays. So they are very deliberate, probably the slowest team in the Big 12, maybe Kansas State. So Kansas State and Iowa State, two teams that play really slowly. In Purdy and Hall, Iowa State has two future NFL players in the backfield. They're very good players. The Cyclones offense has been pretty good. Purdy threw the ball 62 times last year when these two teams met. A 7-point loss at home for Iowa State. Iowa State was -2 in turnover margin. They had 30 first downs in that game, and Oklahoma State had 14 first downs. So I think that's really interesting to point out. A pick six won the game for Oklahoma State. It had been tied, and then a pick six won the game. So far this year, Oklahoma State allowing 16% conversions on third down. Look, we don't have to tell you that that's not going to keep happening. That's a regression candidate, certainly. Oklahoma State's been running the ball on 68% of their plays on offense. I think that they're a team that wants to continue running the ball as much as they can, even with Spencer Sanders, because he's a really good weapon in the run game. Having said that, I think Iowa State's strength defensively is their front seven. I don't think Oklahoma State can run the football really easily on Iowa State in this game. I think this is a really tight game. And if you're going to give me a game that I think is kind of a coin flip, I have to take 3.5 here. So Iowa State plus 3.5 is certainly my strong lean in this game.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said there. In my power ratings, I actually have Iowa State minus 0.5 point. Now, of course, my home field numbers might be a little bit different than the market and stuff like that because things are so weird here for this season. If it was confirmed that Spencer Sanders would start, that's probably a 2-point upgrade for me on Oklahoma State, which would make my line Oklahoma State minus 1.5. Still below the 3.5 number that's out there. I think this is a good spot to take Iowa State. This is the type of game that they want to play. Lower scoring on the road as a dog, getting a hook. I think Iowa State is the play here, plus 3.5. I completely agree with everything you said. You broke this game down well. And again, I think the number really matters here. If it's 3, it's harder to take Iowa State. At 3.5, I like Iowa State quite a bit. Those half points really do matter in football, especially in games that have a lower scoring expectation like this one does. So a consensus opinion here of Iowa State plus 3.5 for this highlight video on our ATS YouTube page. Make sure you listen to the full editions of ATS Radio. You can find us on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, wherever you stream and download your podcast content.